Okay, so I've beaten Resident Evil 4. I've started a new game plus, and I have some thoughts. I'm going to give my review of what I think the game is comparatively to its predecessor, being the original Resident Evil 4. So let's start off with this. Was a remake needed? I think RE4 mostly aged pretty well. Obviously, the dialogue didn't quite hold up, but I think it's on a personal level kind of endearing. It's kind of like watching an old movie that you know is based in the old time or an old area, right? Like, or something. Things are not the same as they used to be, right? And the things that people used to like, I don't know, it's become like a classic, right? Like the cheesy lines have become classic. It's a thing. It's I look forward to and I laugh at every time I hear them, no matter how many times I have. The story overall, I believe, is better. There's a lot of lore stuff they added. They're trying to push this forward with the Amber to make it make sense to whatever they do next. They did have mentions of some areas of Resident Evil 5. I don't know about Resident Evil 7. I have no idea. I honestly didn't even really play much of 7, right? Like, I played a couple of demos and I was like, this is just not... I don't know what's going on, bro. I don't know. So... the story overall is better. They kept some of the cheesy dialogue where they could, where it was applicable. Most of it is in the achievements list or whatever, the challenges, which is unfortunate. But they, you know, like Hasta Luego when he shoots the fire and blows up the big cheese. I like that. They kept that kind of stuff, right? They didn't do Raymond and him. They didn't really have as much back and forth as they used to. So as far as characters go, Luis, I like Luis being around longer than he was in the original. I didn't mind it. The minecart area, it was a little strange. It was, but I mean, it was still fun, but it was just strange a little. Being on the rails and everything, literally, and then also off of them. Luis being around longer was a good thing. Now, it's a little bit of a controversy right now. I don't personally feel like the direction they took Ada was great. I was okay with it for a while, but then like it's the same delivery on like every single voice line, you know what I mean? She feels very muted. Every muted emotion and everything, right? Not just being the secret agent type, you know, kind of semi-seductive. Like even in the end when she throws you the RPG, like you know, you'd be like Leon here, like yell or something. She's just like, here, Leon, you know, like, and then that's kind of it, right? Like, it's nothing against the voice actor at all. It's just the direction that they decided to take the character in and the way that they had the actor deliver the lines. That's bad direction, in my opinion, not bad acting per se, right? It's not, I mean, I'm sure the person could do whatever they wanted her to do, and she probably did what they asked. So Ada was a little weird. I thought Leon was fine. I didn't really feel strongly either way, so I guess that means they did good. Ashley is a very large improvement overall. The part where you play as her is not as bad as the original. It's a little bit interesting. It's pretty spooky actually, right? Like there's a little spook in this game. There's some moments where I was like kind of like, ooh, this is creepy, spooky. Ashley is a massive improvement. Sadler's a downgrade. He's in the game even less. They take some of his parts out and they put other people there, and I mean, he doesn't even off Luis anymore. Krauser does. I like Krauser a good bit in this game. For some reason, I feel like his facial model, he just looks like the guy that played the time. I can't remember his name. Was his name Reese in the original Terminator? I can't remember the guy's name anymore. It's been a long time since I've seen OG. But that actor, he only had the same face, right? But he was yoked, absolutely yoked. That boss fight was, I don't know, it's very easy for me. Let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about the overall difficulty. I tried to play this game on hardcore, right? My very first playthrough, and I got so pissed off at the village that I had to stop. And I don't know if that's really the part of the difficulty, like the how much more damage you take. as much as it is the mechanics, right? But we'll get more to that in a second. I'm just gonna talk about difficulty in general. So I wound up backing it down to standard, and I could stand it better till I actually learn the game mechanics more. There's a learning curve in this game for sure. You can't just jump in like the Resident. If you ever played Resident Evil 4 regular, it's different, right? There's things that they want to do different. So towards the end of the game, I was wishing I could bump the difficulty up. So I'm on New Game Plus now, and of course I got all my stuff, and I got the body armor and everything. I'm still getting hit. I'm still getting missing shots. Still not ducking stuff. Still not doing stuff correctly. But with the body armor and full health, of course, like, and the resources, it feels a lot more manageable, right? Now, I know that that's the way all Resident Evil games start off, is slow, you're very low resource, and you ramp up, right? But I feel like I almost need an in-between to, like, ease me in. Like, something above standard, but slightly below hardcore. So, we'll talk about that a little bit in a second, right? Because that's mostly my biggest gripe, is the gameplay. Which, spoiler alert here, I don't think the game's a bad game. I don't. It's just there's a specific thing in the game that really irks me, like really bad. So we'll still talk about things that are good for now. Level design and set pieces, I think were done very well. They were pretty faithful, and then added some pretty good circumventing my expectations. Like, you come into some areas reversed, right? You'll come into an area and, oh, this is where I used to come out, but I gotta go the other way this time. That stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, things, they swap it up, they change it up, they'll completely take away some parts of an area that you used to go to all the time and like put something else there, like the tower in the village, right? You can't just stand in the tower anymore, you fall out instantly, which I'm glad I didn't try to do, because I would have been just right pissed off if I got dumped into the middle of all those people. Same set pieces are done, although the game mechanics and the specific one I'm talking about make some of them even worse than they used to be. Like, if you used to hate some of these places, good chance is they're even worse now, which is very unfortunate, because they're redesigned a little bit, they're brought up to current standards, and then it's just like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what we're doing here. This is rough. Okay. So, like I said, level design for the most part is well done. The added areas, especially in the late game, like the island. There's some places that they added at the island that I thought were excellent. I really liked them. And they're also memorable. Which, when I think of the original village, original island, I don't hardly remember anything. I don't really hardly remember anything, man. The helicopter, you fought Krauser. The regenerators, that's about it. But there's a couple places I can remember out of this game a lot more on just my memory. Of course, it is a little bit fresher. But also in general, and this is, I've talked with other people and I agree, I mean, they agree with me, is that outside the like actual set piece the game like sells you on, it feels like the games get worse as they go, right? It feels like Act 3 is always a little bit more action-oriented. We're going to a finale, but then it's like, it doesn't have soul? Is that what I want to say? Soul? It's not as endearing. So like the village, right? That's what sold this, is like, oh, the village and all this, and it's creepy, it's people with chainsaws and all that kind of stuff. Then you get out of that and you go to the castle. Well, the castle is kind of creepy in its own way, in its own standards. Like, there's like a lot of weird, funky monsters and stuff in there, like the Wolverine guys. There's a lot more of the Plagas, people with the maces. The people with the maces ain't as bad, but just, you know, it has its own vibe still, right? So that's like when you played Resident Evil, I think is it 8? Village, whatever. Or is it 9? Dude, I don't even know. I'm so confused on how many, I might have said 7 earlier. I meant 6 way earlier in the video, my bad. So the thing is, like, when the one that had Village, the village is what sold you, and like the werewolves, and then it's like the big mommy milker's castle with the vampires, right? And then you go to the factory, and you're in the factory forever, and then you're in the end game. The spooky house was great, but that wasn't like sold. That wasn't like what they were selling you on the game originally. You know what I mean? Like it was the village and the castle. Like that's what we were shown. That's what you're in. But the rest of it felt kind of iffy. Just like the island feels very iffy after castle. After castle, it's like, even in the original. And RE2, going to the lab. Like you get out of the police department and out of the zombies so much, out of the sewers. The sewers sucked too, by the way. They did suck. But that being said, I do feel like most of it is well done. I do feel like a very good bit of it was well done. I do still feel like what I'm about to talk about is my biggest problem with the game. It's the damn mechanics, man. Some of them just piss me off. So we'll talk about one a little bit, right? I miss quick time events, QTEs for you. There used to be a lot of them back in the day. There used to be a lot of them in every game. So I feel like people think that that should be left in the dust. I feel like there's options to do more in this game with QTEs. There's times where I wish I was doing QTEs, right? Like, oh, I can dodge this or that. Like, I'm waiting for when you fight like the El Gigante and it's like going to freaking basically kick you like they're kicking a field goal. I'm waiting for QTE because it looks like something should have a QTE, like a dodge button. You know what I mean? There's just nothing. You just get fucking punted and you're rolling on the ground and you're stuck under him and you walk under his legs and then you get up and shoot back at him. Like that's it. That's all the mechanics between the two of you. You do get to jump up on his back and chop at his plagas, but that feels so like, I don't know, minimal? Is that the word I want to say? Like minimal interaction? Like I'm trying to do as much damage as fast as possible. This thing happens, I run up, I do this, I run away, I try to do as much as damage possible. And it's like, to do the most damage possible, you can't maneuver. You have to just, I'm walking all the way to the back, I'm just shooting. I'm shooting, and that's it. Right? That's it. Now, maybe that's the way the game's meant to be played. Maybe that's the way they intended. But that feels like that's how you do everything in the game. I don't feel like I should interact with anybody. The Krauser fight was really fun because we are approaching each other. We are interacting. I am getting to dodge. I am getting to parry. I am getting to fight back. He hits me. I got some QTEs to get up or whatever. It feels a lot tighter and a lot more like original Resident Evil 4 to me. That fight was really fun. Even though it was easy, right? It felt really fun. Especially the first one with the knives. Like the first one that's like almost knives only. Like, bro, that one is, I think, the best fight in the game. It's funnest to me, you know? Like, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So I miss QTEs. The only ones you really get are like to melee or to dodge. That's about it. There's not any cool interactions or cool things. I mean, yeah, you can drop the one dude in the lava, like, but stuff like that, you know what I mean? There's one part later in the game where Ashley, she's holding this thing up and she'll let it go. Like, she'll let it go and kill the enemy. Like, that stuff's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, they should have done more of, I think. It also made Ashley not feel useless. So, I've talked a little bit about it. I'm about to rant. I'm literally on a rant, okay? And let me just say this right now. This does not mean this is a bad game. This is just the mechanics that I can't still to this time wrap my head around or understand why it's done this way, okay? That's all I'm saying. It's a different game, but we're about to get into it. I got a little bit of a script here. I'm gonna try to just keep to the cliff notes, okay? I basically started ranting. So gunplay feels somewhat less satisfying. It's just less satisfying overall. Even in New Game Plus, the amount of enemies that refuse to stagger is kind of astounding sometimes, it feels like. It makes some places that were already bad like way worse, right? So like at the very beginning, this is what's so mind-boggling, because in New Game Plus, I'm in Village and I got grabbed 3 times back to back to back and punched by people I can't even see on screen. I don't know they're there. It just doesn't make any sense. So when you go to shoot, like after that, your gun's not where it was. Like even when you put the little dot in the middle of the screen as an option, it's not where you were. It's above them. You got reposition. Okay, well, by the time you reposition, it takes you like, you know, half a second. It takes you like a quarter second to draw the weapon animation and then shoot it, right? It just leaves you open to get grabbed again. You can't do anything. Like, you're just locked, okay? But at the very beginning of the game, the guns suck balls. They suck so bad. You do not have a laser. You got the crosshair. I don't even know what direction I was about to do this. You got the crosshair with the bloom. And yes, if you stand still for a while, it will sink all the way in and you get like a very accurate shot. You're not getting that shot ever in gameplay. You will not ever get that shot in gameplay. You're moving. Enemies are going to come after you too fast for you to do anything. If you engage the enemy, you can maybe get 2 shots, right? From like, I'm talking like max distance almost, where the enemy is really, really far away from you. Sure, maybe you might be able to get 2 of those super accurate shots. You're not doing that. We're not doing that. You're shooting as fast as you can, because at the beginning of the game, the fire rate is ass. It's ass. Okay? The gun is ass. Every gun you get is ass. The original shotgun is not as good. The pistol you have at start is not good. There's no laser sight like there was in the original, and you have to do all these things with the merchant to get that, right? Now, I like the things to get the spinals and spend them. I like that, right? Like the medallions and special things, kill the rats, etc., etc. I do like that. I do. But the laser should have been a default on the pistols. Like, every pistol should have a laser. Every pistol in the game now should have a laser. You get the Red 9 for free. I literally was like, I'm not going to use it. I don't want to deal with the bloom. I don't want to deal with that bloom. I'd rather have one of the a shittier gun with a laser shooting where I want it to shoot than not. So pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much how that went. So like the village area, the cabin, the water hall, all of those areas are just, man, like they were not that fun in the original. But I would argue and say that all of them were better in the original. It's weird. I would argue and say that. So that's the first mechanic, is gunplay, right? Is the guns you get to start off and everything, they're just so ass. They do get very good once you upgrade them, which, I mean, I guess that's the only time that these types of Resident Evils are like really stressful, is because you have very little resources. You have to ramp up and get going. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it feels. And that's like that's the most survival horror that this game feels like. Because at some points you're just like in an action game. It's crazy. So gunplay overall, I like the rifle. I like the riot gun. Which also, I mean, I'm glad that some useless guns got buffed. I'm not excited that they still have guns that are useless, and I'm not excited that some guns that were god tier are like just kind of middle of the pack now. I wish like every gun was like very, very viable, where it was like, dude, I just don't know what I want to run. You know what I mean? The riot gun was amazing. I love the riot gun now. Especially maxing it all the way out. You're basically shooting magnum damage shots out of the end of your shotgun, which is amazing. I loved it. So it's basically like it turned into my revolver essentially. Also, it can penetrate and it can knock multiple people back, shoot multiple people at the same time. That's a huge deal. The new AR is funky and weird. I didn't use it enough to get like a very big vibe. I don't even have footage of me using it, right? I don't have footage of me using it. But I did try it off camera, and it's funky. I do love the new sub. The new sub is awesome. Rest in peace to TMP. I do really like that new sub, even though it takes up a lot of space. I did like it. The new mine thrower, which is like a crossbow thing. is even worse than the original mine thrower, which seems like a impossibility almost. I think the original mine thrower has some very niche uses, but it could be used, you know, it could be. But this new one is just, I level it up some, and I'm like, you know what? I wasted some money. I just wasted some money here. All right, so here's the big deal. Here's the big stuff that I just cannot understand, and the stuff that really starts irking me, okay? So at the beginning of the game, this is what really got me going. And it's not that big of a deal later, but it is still part that I'm like, I don't think this is what I would have done, right? So I said the gunplay sucks. It kind of sucks. It does. It's very meh. Your knife is now a resource. It used to be unlimited. Your knife is a resource, but it is also like your best defensive option. Besides ducking, like if someone's going at you like this, like, yeah, you can duck it. I still get grabbed all the time. It's ridiculous. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, right? Even I'm on New Game Plus. I still don't know. Explain. So that really works for me, but the frustration is to me because like you're like an anime character with this knife. People are shooting they're shooting crossbow bolts at you. You're blocking them with a knife. They're throwing Molotovs. You're smacking the Molotov away with a knife. I mean, people throw axes. You knock it away with a knife. Someone tries to attack you with a mace, a chain and a mace. Oh, you block it away with a knife. Like, and then someone tries to cut you with a chainsaw, and you literally hold the blade and stop a chainsaw with a knife. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, Leon, he cannot hold a gun steady to save his own life, but will be out here anime fighting with the knife. You know what I mean? Like, just doing the craziest things with his blade. But yeah, it's a resource, right? It's your biggest defensive tool. Offensively, it doesn't feel that great, honestly. Like, using it for offense doesn't feel good. Like, people don't fucking die when you stab them, and you're just breaking it, right? That's the only thing you have for defense is the knife. So, I mean, I guess you could use a frag if you had it equipped, but it's the knife. Like, you're just knifing everybody. So, that's a big deal. But also, like, when you're getting hit, when you do get hit, like I said earlier, your camera is like, so say I'm looking right at you, right? Okay, I got my reticle right dead on you. Okay, the little dot is on you. I get grabbed, get hit, or whatever. Next thing I know is like, I'm like up here. Okay, I have to reposition back down here manually. That takes a couple seconds or a second or whatever. Then it takes time to draw the weapon, right? And then you have to fire. Well, they're not going to stagger all the time. I mean, it'd be great if they did, or if you had the shotgun, you're just going to blow them away. Or rifle, you get a quick scope in and you get them. Or, you know, but in areas where there's just a lot of enemies, you don't even have time to consider any of that. It's like literally pull out your submachine gun, or pull out your shotgun, or pull out a flash or a frag, and just sometimes it feels like you're just in a shit spot and you have to dump everything you have to get out of it. If you want to live, you could replay it and redo the situation better. But the reason behind all that is because your character is just less physical. It feels like you have less weight than any enemy in the game. You can force yourself, you can't force yourself anywhere. Like if I want to go, if I'm contesting somewhere, no, the enemy has control. You do not. You cannot go through here. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 straight to jail. That's exactly what happens. Okay. In the old game, you had doors, right? You could literally kick the door. You could use it as like a impact, like, hey, there's people coming in. They're trying to come in. The door shut. I'm kicking it and I'm going through. It's going to knock them back or knock them down, and I get to walk out. Okay. Now, when the door gets opened, or I think it kind of stays open, there's an enemy right outside the door. Not even trying to come in, but just standing outside of it. Leon goes to walk through. He already hits like there's like a force between the enemy and you, and it's like also there's a force where the door is. I guess it's the way the camera interacts. It feels like you get wedged, and your like characters like slowly trying to like work their way through, but you can't force anything out of the way. You're getting grabbed instantly. So the only play you have is, okay, I'm using valuable resources. Again, flash, grenade. I blast them away with a power weapon, because if I stun them, right, I still have to walk up and get the melee. It's not like a lot of times they kind of like stumble not halfway away, but it feels like they stumble back a little. Well, you don't get like a lot of invincibility frames when you're interacting. They're decent, right? If there's like 2 or 3 enemies and you do stun one of them, you can hit it and the other enemy clearly hit you, but you're invincible, right? There's just less of that, a lot less of that. I almost feel like when enemies are grabbing you and you break out, you should have like this little tiny area around you where it like kind of like forces them off. And I think that was in the original. I do think that was in the original. It might be different on different difficulties though. But I feel like there should be like this really tiny area where they kind of like gives you some space to do something. Because in this game, like I said, you get comboed. I literally got into the village, a New Game Plus, right? I'll throw it up. New Game Plus, I got in the village, I get grabbed 3 times in a row, it felt like. I felt like I got grabbed 3 times in a row. Anything can happen here and there. If there's a chainsaw guy, I'm dead. I'm instantly dead. They're going to do their thing, and I'm instantly gone. I'm instantly dead. There's no point. So, if you try to jump over a ledge, right, like mantling, no. You can't. In the old game, you would mantle and you'd kick that sucker right back. You'd kick the enemy back, right? I'm deciding. I'm engaging. I'm moving. I'm doing this. And then I get to reposition to do whatever I want. In this game, you're in a small room. There's a window. Okay, I'm going to jump out of it. No, you're not. Okay? If the enemy's trying to come in, you are not jumping out. You will not jump out. They will decide what they want to do. They're going to do it. They're doing whatever they want to do to you. And you just shoot. Shoot, stab, throw grenades. That's what you can do to get out of these situations. In the past, it felt like they gave you more options to deal with that, right? Like enemies staggered more. Shotguns would sweep people. The striker used to be great. You could shoot like 1 round and 3 people would fall down. Now it doesn't feel that way, right? It doesn't feel that way at all. So it's a personal gripe. It's a big problem with certain areas because I'm like, dude, like the double chainsaw ladies, it feels like a resource burn. I'm just like, I died multiple times, like fuck it. Frag, flash, they're on the ground, I pump 2 shotgun shells into one, I pump like 2 shotgun shells in the other while they're on the ground, turn around, there's enemies in there, swap over to whatever else, try to do what I can to get out, but you can't get out of the area because there's only one freaking door, man. There's 2 doors, but to get around like the shots, you might as well just go through that way. You know what I mean? Like you're already shooting, might as well get the penetration, get it on multiple enemies. Sure, there's like in hindsight with that fight in particular, I could have made Ashley hide. I didn't know that until I watched other people play it. But still, it still remains. Like I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything except just dump it. Just dump it to crumpet, man. I'm throwing everything I got at you. Like that's it. That's all I can do. And it's not interactive, really. I don't feel like I'm doing anything hard or rewarding. And I'm also dying. So when I get past those areas, when things happen like this, I'm not happy. I'm not like, phew, that was a fun fight. That was cool. It was memorable for good reasons. It's just like, that was bullshit. Like, it feels like I got cheated. Like, I just had to use all this crap. For what? For what? Because the mechanics won't let me do anything. They won't let me move fuckers out of the way. Just, that's all. There's so many times you'll see people streaming this game and they're just like, move! Move! Like, that's all they're saying. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck off me. You're stabbing them in the face, swinging a knife. It's not doing nothing. All you can do is take the pump and just blah. Blah! That's it. That's all you can do. Hopefully someone stuns, you can melee. And then you can just do stuff after, right? That's a hopefully. Like, it just feels like they don't sometimes, man. Especially, like, the thing that got me eventually was, like, when enemies are doing this at you, and you're just fucking loading their face up. I mean, their eyeballs are mushed off, like, half their face is gone, and they still grab you. It's just like, what am I supposed to do, man? What am I supposed to do here? Oh, so nearly all my deaths were from situations like that, right? In my original playthrough. But also it's because I lowered the difficulty. Like I said, I think it needs to be in the middle. Like, it was too easy for me, and now hardcore feels fine, but I have way too much health. Like, it's very rare I would die beyond some circumstances, very extreme circumstances. It's almost, but it has replayability. I mean, it has just as much replayability as the original, in my opinion. It feels, you know, you go back and you level up your guns, you got all your stuff, you want to blast all these people. That's why I started a new game. Because, like, I'm going to this village, I'm going to see what I got now. I'm going to see all my skills. And I got grabbed 4 times, bruh. 3 or 4 times. It might have been 3. But I got grabbed back to back to back. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, what can I do? Destroy the child. You know, I don't, it just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense that is the way it went. I don't know why the mechanics are that way, but they're only that bad in that area. I like a lot of the boss fights. I like a lot of the set pieces. Enemy variety stays very good throughout the entirety of the game. They bring back enemies that are from the beginning of the game, towards the end of the game, in the middle. They're very good enemy variety. I liked it. I still don't like the bugs, but that's like on purpose. Like, the bugs are just horrible, shitty enemies. I don't like fighting them. Nobody likes fighting the bugs. I still like how some situations, like using the TMP against the dogs, is still very good. I like how they kept some of that in the game. And like I said, these are that might sound like I was very negative, and it's just because it pissed me off so bad, right? Like, it's something that's very, very frustrating. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, I don't know why it's like this. I wish it was different. But okay, here we are. So we made the best of it. I mean, I still beat the game. I'm playing New Game Plus now, and I think it's a really good game. It's just these mechanics, they're so frustrating. I'm watching speedrunners that can't even get around some of them. Like, and even they don't understand how to get around some of these scenarios, right? Like, if people that play it that much, they've already got 500 hours, right? I might have 20 or 25. Maybe. But they have like 400 hours, 500 hours. I don't even know if it's been out for what, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They got probably like over 100, 200. I'll bring it back. We'll be a little bit more, what's the word? Conservative. We'll be a little bit more conservative. But they got like almost 200 hours, I would say, into the game. I mean, it's taking them like 2 hours to beat it a pop every time they beat it. And there's still stuff that they're just like, I don't know how this is working or what I should do. If people that play the game that much and try to find exploits and try to find answers don't have answers, shit's wrong. Like, it's just wrong. It don't, you know, I guess ultimately they can just say, yeah, you got to deal with it. Like, that's the way it is. Too bad. But it just doesn't feel as satisfying as the original did in that aspect, right? I want to engage. I want to be in control. But it feels like they're forcing all their control on me. And the only thing I can do is just, like I said, I'm going to keep backing up. I'm just going to keep shooting. And that's all the interaction there is. And like, if someone stuns, I'm rushing forward and kicking so I can run to another area where they're not and start the whole process all over. So that's kind of, I'm not the biggest fan of that, right? Now, when they bring the enemies to you a little bit at a time, you can play the game. But in those big ass areas, it just feels like it's just a cluster, bro. That's it. So, like I said, the game is not bad whatsoever. It's not. This is just a very specific yet very frustrating issue, and I still can't wrap my head around it. That's what I'm saying. That's really what I'm saying here, guys. So I think ultimately, is it better than the original? I don't know. I don't know if it's better than the original. It's hard to say. I'm too much of a diehard for the original to make that call. I will say this, okay? When we are done with this game, when we put it down, are we coming back in a couple of years to play it again? I don't know. I don't know if I want that kick again. If we don't have any more Resident Evil games, right? For whatever reason, would I come back? I don't know. I don't know if this is what I come back for. I can say, ideally, if I'm playing Resident Evil 4, it's going to be in VR. VR to me is still the very best experience I've had with this specific game, remake or otherwise. And maybe there'll be VR for this. Maybe that'll, you know, maybe that'll change it. Maybe playing this in VR will feel better. But we'll have to wait and see about that, won't we? So let me know what you guys thought about Resident Evil 4. Obviously, if you watch this whole thing, I really appreciate you for watching this long. Listen to me ramble. I do hope you guys enjoyed the game. I got mine from Games Planet for like 45 bucks, by the way, if you have a PC. So that's pretty good for a brand new game. Just saying. Games Planet, I got the key. I got a key for about 45 bucks, which is awesome. So yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, if you watched this long, you clearly got something to say also. So leave me a comment, leave me a like if you would. If you think I'm an idiot, you can leave a dislike. That's fine too. But I appreciate everybody. Have a good day. We'll see you next time. Peace.